February 23, 2026. Damascus International Airport, 11:47 p.m. local time. According to Syrian Arab News Agency and confirmed by multiple regional sources, a targeted airstrike eliminated IRGC Quds Force Commander Brigadier General Hassamadavi and 3 senior officers. Israeli Defense Forces provided no comment. The Pentagon issued a 2-sentence statement denying involvement. But in Tehran, something unprecedented began unfolding. Within 90 minutes of the strike, Iranian state media broadcast a live address from IRGC Commander-in-Chief Major General Hossein Salami. Not a recorded message, not a written statement. A live declaration at 2:15 a.m. Tehran time. And he said something that changed everything. The response will come within 72 hours. The calculations have been made. The targets are identified. 72 hours. 3 days. Western media treated it as typical rhetoric. CNN's headline read, Iran issues latest threats after Damascus strike. The New York Times buried the story on page 11. But across the Middle East, military analysts understood what mainstream coverage missed. Iran had never before publicly announced a specific retaliation timeline. Not after Soleimani's assassination in January 2020. Not after nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh's killing in November 2020. Not after any of the documented strikes on Iranian assets across Syria and Iraq. This was different. The evidence suggests a calculated strategic shift, and the implications are staggering. Let's examine what happened in those 72 hours, because the documented military movements tell a story Western audiences never heard. Hour 0 to hour 12. According to satellite imagery analysis from ImageSat International and Planet Labs, reviewed and verified by independent OSINT analysts, Iranian military activity spiked across 3 theaters simultaneously. At Imam Khomeini International Airport in Tehran, for Retaliation IL-76 transport aircraft departed between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. local time on February 24th. Flight tracking data from Flightradar 24 showed their transponders active until entering Iraqi airspace, then going dark. Their documented destination per Iraqi Aviation Authority coordination requests, Al-Assad Air Base and Balad Air Base, both hosting U.S. military personnel. In Lebanon, commercial satellite imagery from Maxa Technologies dated February 24th at 11:23 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated captured unusual activity at Beirut Rafik Hariri International Airport. 3 cargo aircraft with Iranian registration, numbers visible in the imagery. Open-source analysts geolocated the images and confirmed the tail numbers matched known IRGC transport fleet aircraft. The cargo? Unknown. But the timing synchronized with Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah's televised statement that same afternoon declaring full readiness in solidarity with Iran. His exact words for the official transcript. What happens to our brothers in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps happens to us. The response will be unified. Hour 12 to hour 24. This is where the pattern becomes undeniable. According to U.S. Central Command's official statement released February 24th at 4:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, American forces in Syria and Iraq were placed on heightened alert status following credible threat indicators. The statement didn't specify the threats. It didn't need to, because at the same time, according to Israeli Channel 12 News citing defense officials, the Israeli Air Force scrambled additional F-35I Deer fighters to forward bases. Nevatim Air Base in southern Israel showed increased activity in satellite imagery analysis. The Israeli Home Front Command issued updated guidance to civilian defense authorities in northern regions, documented in their official February 24th emergency protocol update. But here's what those official actions reveal. Both the United States and Israel were taking Iran's 72-hour declaration seriously, not as rhetoric, as operational intelligence. And that's the crucial detail mainstream media coverage completely missed. When a nation publicly announces a retaliation timeline, it's not bravado, it's strategic communication. It tells adversaries, prepare your defenses, because we're coming regardless. It tells regional allies, coordinate your readiness, because this is synchronized. It tells domestic audiences, we are responding with strength and transparency, The documented evidence shows Iran was implementing a new retaliation doctrine, one that fundamentally changes Middle East crisis dynamics. Hour 24 to hour 48. According to Tasnim news agency and confirmed by regional shipping tracking services, Iranian naval vessels from the 86th Naval Fleet departed Bandar Abbas on February 25th. The fleet composition per publicly released Iranian Navy statements: frigate IS Ahand, destroyer IS Jamaran, and support vessels. Their stated destination, the Red Sea, for scheduled exercises. But the timing tells a different story. Commercial shipping tracking through the Strait of Hormuz documented increased Iranian fast attack craft activity. Lloyd's List Intelligence reported on February 25th that 3 international shipping companies received advisories to delay transits through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The pattern is consistent with previous Iranian naval posturing before major operations. In Iraq, something even more revealing occurred. According to Reuters, citing 3 Iraqi security officials, Popular Mobilization Forces units, those are the Iranian-backed militias officially part of Iraq's security structure, relocated from positions south of Baghdad to areas near the Syrian border. The movements were documented through local Iraqi media reports and verified by independent analysts tracking social media posts from PMF-affiliated accounts. The redeployment involved an estimated 800 to 1,200 fighters based on convoy-size analysis from geolocated videos. And here's the strategic significance. Those positions placed them within striking distance of both U.S. installations in eastern Syria and logistics routes connecting to Israeli-monitored areas in southern Syria. Hour 48 to hour 72. The countdown reached its critical phase. According to official statements from the Iranian Foreign Ministry on February 26, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian held emergency consultations with counterparts from Russia, China, and Turkey. The Russian Foreign Ministry confirmed the call in their official statement, noting discussions focused on regional stability and proportionate response to aggression. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson, in the regular February 26 press briefing transcript, stated Beijing understands Iran's legitimate security concerns. This diplomatic coordination is significant. Iran wasn't acting in isolation. The evidence shows careful alliance management before any kinetic response. But the most critical development came at hour 68. According to Al Jazeera Arabic citing Yemeni sources, and confirmed by Houthi military spokesman Yahya Sari's official Telegram channel, Yemeni armed forces affiliated with the Houthi movement declared expanded operational zones in the Red Sea. The statement specifically mentioned coordination with allied forces, without naming Iran directly. However, the timeline is impossible to ignore. For hours before Iran's 72-hour deadline expired, Yemen, which hosts what UN reports have documented as Iranian-supplied missile and drone systems, announced expanded military operations. The coordination is clear in the evidence, even if officially unacknowledged. Hour 72. February 26, 11:47 p.m. Damascus time, exactly 72 hours after the assassination. According to initial reports from Syrian state media, later confirmed by Israeli military censor reports and U.S. Central Command monitoring, multiple projectiles were launched toward Israeli-controlled areas in the Golan Heights. The Israeli Defense Forces confirmed intercepting several projectiles, with minor damage reported to military infrastructure. Simultaneously, per U.S. Central Command's official statement, 2 drones were intercepted near Al-Tamp garrison in southeastern Syria, a U.S. military position. In Iraq, according to Iraqi security media cell official statement, 3 rockets impacted near Al-Assad Air Base perimeter, causing no casualties but confirming hostile fire. The attacks were not massive. They were not devastating. And that's precisely the point Western analysis missed. According to casualty reports from all involved parties, there were 0 deaths, minimal infrastructure damage. Intercepted projectiles outnumbered impacts. But Iran's objective wasn't maximum destruction. The evidence from the 72-hour timeline reveals a different strategy entirely. Iran demonstrated 4 critical capabilities in that precisely orchestrated countdown. First, intelligence penetration. To announce a 72-hour timeline and execute it exactly on schedule requires knowing your adversary cannot prevent the response even with advance warning. That's not bravado. That's documented capability. Israel had 3 full days to prepare defenses, position interceptors, and brief personnel. The attack still occurred exactly when promised. Second, multi-theater coordination. Simultaneous or near-simultaneous attacks from Syrian territory, potentially Yemeni assets in the Red Sea sphere, and Iraq-based proxies demonstrates command and control across vast distances. The logistics of that coordination are sophisticated. Third, escalation control. By causing minimal casualties while still striking military targets, Iran demonstrated it can calibrate response levels. This is crucial for future deterrence because it shows restraint while proving capability. Fourth, alliance signaling. The coordination with Hezbollah statements, Houthi operational declarations, and PMF movements showed regional allies that Iran's retaliation doctrine includes them. The unified front is a strategic message to adversaries. Compare Iran's documented approach to previous retaliations. After Qasem Soleimani's January 2020 assassination, Iran waited 8 days before launching Operation Martyr Soleimani, which according to U.S. and Iranian official reports struck Al-Assad air base with ballistic missiles, causing over 100 traumatic brain injuries among U.S. personnel, but deliberately avoiding mass casualties through advance warning via Iraqi officials. The response was powerful but delayed and singular. After Mohsen Fakhrizadeh's November 2020 assassination, Iran's response came through increased nuclear enrichment levels per IAEA reports over subsequent months, not immediate kinetic action. The documented pattern shows evolving doctrine. But the 72-hour Damascus response introduced something new. Transparent timeline declarations combined with multi-axis coordination and precise escalation calibration. This is what Israeli defense analysts call calculated ambiguity reduction. Instead of keeping adversaries guessing when and where retaliation will occur, Iran is now sometimes announcing the when to demonstrate the inevitability of response. It's psychological warfare backed by documented capability, and it fundamentally changes crisis calculations for both Israel and the United States. Here's what the evidence shows, but mainstream media won't emphasize. Iran's 72-hour retaliation doctrine isn't about devastating strikes. It's about predictable consequences. Every time Israel or its allies strike Iranian assets, Tehran can now point to a documented pattern. We will respond, we will announce it, we will execute it, and you cannot stop it even with preparation time. That's deterrence through transparency rather than through surprise. And it may be more effective in the long term because it makes the cost of strikes against Iran calculable and certain rather than uncertain and delayed. The strategic implications extend beyond individual incidents. According to defense analysts of the International Institute for Strategic Studies and the Center for Strategic and International Studies, both of which published assessment of Iran's evolving deterrence doctrine in late 2025 and early 2026, this approach serves multiple Iranian objectives simultaneously. It satisfies domestic audiences demanding visible responses to attacks on Iranian personnel. It maintains regional alliance cohesion by demonstrating that Iran acts decisively. It manages escalation by keeping responses limited and announced. And it imposes strategic costs on adversaries by guaranteeing retaliation rather than making it uncertain. The 72 hours after Damascus showed the world a new Iranian playbook, not maximum destruction, maximum calculation, not surprising attacks, inevitable consequences, not isolated responses, coordinated multi-theater operations. The evidence is documented across satellite imagery, official statements, flight tracking data, naval monitoring, and diplomatic coordination. Western media focus on the minimal damage from the actual strikes. But the real story is in the 72 hours before those strikes, when Iran demonstrated an entirely new level of strategic communications and operational coordination. And that's a development with implications far beyond one retaliation cycle. It's a blueprint for future crisis management across the Middle East, where Iran is showing it can manage escalation ladders with precision while still guaranteeing responses. That combination of restraint and certainty may reshape regional deterrence dynamics more than any massive strike ever could.